Notice requirement. The notice requirement provided for the open public meeting law has been satisfied. Notice having been properly given, said notice having been transmitted to the Courier News on Tuesday, April 12, 2022, as well as posting on the city's website. Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Council members Briggs Jones.
Present.
Councilwoman Davis.
Present.
Councilman Hockaday.
Present.
Councilman McKenna.
Present.
Councilwoman Mills Ransom.
Present.
Vice President McCray.
Present.
Council President Good.
Present.
We have all members present in a quorum this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This evening, the Plainfield Municipal Council will conduct its budget deliberations on the 2022 calendar year municipal operating budget. This session is scheduled to discuss the Fire and Department of Communications and Technology. So at this time, would the Department of Communications and Technology please begin with their budget overview? Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening to members of the City Council and members of the CBAC Committee and other members of the administration. I present to you this evening a thoughtfully prepared and balanced budget. It represents the adjustments needed to keep pace with the demands on our department, the growth and development of the city, while keeping in mind the fiscal prudence necessary for good municipal management. For the past 2 years, we slashed spending in all areas, except those that we felt would be the most beneficial for our residents, who we knew would be feeling the brunt of the economic hardship brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. The staff in communications and technology was at the forefront of the response, enabling city staff to work in a virtual environment within weeks of the local outbreak. We were one of the first municipalities to successfully host a virtual city council meeting and transition our boards and commissions to a stable and reliable virtual platform. Additionally, the information technology staff made house calls, made themselves available after typical working hours, and did whatever was necessary to support the administration during a strange time with no historical precedents. We provided focused resources in the form of the COVID-19 resource newsletter, bringing our total number of e-newsletters sent every week to 3. That's 156 per year and 312 for the past 2 years. That's in addition to providing daily COVID updates, daily social media updates on 3 platforms, and producing 2 printed newsletters each year that are delivered to every Plainfield household. The communication staff works 7 days per week to ensure that Plainfielders receive the necessary information to shepherd the city through this dark period. Additionally, working with the Department of Health and Human Services, we produce live stream events presenting health experts who could speak knowledgeably to our residents and offer the most helpful information. Our department, as a support department, is involved in every activity produced by all other departments and divisions. Our responsibility is to provide resources and support for every ribbon cutting, every groundbreaking, every festival, every holiday. Everything brand Plainfield involves our team. Most of our team works at least 2 to 3 weekends each month and many evenings, some months more and some less. And as we approach the summer months, that will undoubtedly be more rather than less. Last year, we launched a new city website that presents a clean and modern aesthetic that complements our city's changing face. The design changed and it allowed us more flexibility in executing updates. We have more control and can do real-time updates from anywhere. We're constantly adapting and making changes to the website as we continue to evolve and grow. We also launched the Love Plainfield initiative, which seeks to foster a sense of pride in our residents, to keep everyone mindful of our shared responsibility for our city and teach valuable lessons to our young people about building the legacy they will inherit. The initiative is ongoing and has ignited a sense of camaraderie in Plainfield and evoked a heightened awareness of our environment. In 2021, we replaced old antiquated equipment with new hardware and up-to-date software. The process continues in 2022 and will continue into 2023. By keeping pace with changes in the technology world, we ensure a safer virtual environment for all users. This year, as we emerge from the shadow of COVID, we'll continue growing the Plainfield brand. working closely with the economic development team, we'll continue marketing our city as a beautiful place to live, work, play, and invest. You'll enjoy a plethora of festivals and activities curated by our team in collaboration with other departments starting next month. These events will bring the community together and provide an outlet for residents during the summer months. As the city grows, the demand for support services increases, so our team's demand grows exponentially. Every penny in this budget reflects what we need to do the city's business efficiently and effectively. I thank you for your time and your consideration. Council President, that concludes my statement.
Sorry, I was muted. I apologize. Thank you for that presentation, Director Clayton Hunt. Council colleagues, now is the time for you to ask your questions. And of course, they will be limited to 10 minutes and 10 minutes only. And prior to each one of you asking your questions, I'm going to want to know, have there been any questions that have been submitted ahead of time? So we come to Councilwoman Terry Breaks Jones. Good evening, Councilwoman. How are you? You're on mute.
Good evening, everyone, and my constituents of Plainfield, New Jersey.
Councilwoman Breaks Jones, do you, pardon me, do you have any questions that were submitted earlier? And then?
No,
Okay.
right at the moment. No, thank you.
Okay, proceed with your questions. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, thank you for that. Actually, I was pretty pleased with the budget for the IT. It's just a couple questions I had, and just a general question, which is, a difference between your budget last year and then during the COVID time. It looks like it was pretty well balanced, that it wasn't a whole lot that was spent. And I don't see where it was. However, could you explain if it was or wasn't?
Sorry, if you could just clarify that for me, Councilwoman.
Absolutely. Your budget that you had from last year versus during COVID. My question is, the difference in the budget looks like it wasn't a whole lot that was spent. Looked like it was pretty balanced. So my question is to you, your budget for this year that you're proposing, could you explain to the constituents if there's any need of, is there any need of any other monies that you feel that you might have? That you need, any other monies that you feel that you're going to need this coming year that would be of importance over the budget that you're asking for?
So thank you for that question, Councilwoman. We tried to include, the monies that we thought could adequately service our projected needs for 2022. So at this time, there would be no additional requests from our department.
And also, has anything been cut from your budget that you feel that might be in importance right now at this moment?
No, as we go through the budget process, we meet with the finance department and, as you know, in the overall budget, we try to balance the needs, not just of our department, but of all the other departments, and ensure that the funds are allocated fairly. So based on my conversation with the finance department, I'm comfortable with how we've been allocated, with what's been allocated.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it for now.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Now, Councilwoman Ashley Davis, good evening.
Good evening. Director Clayton Hunt, the administration is recommending $3,000 in professional development. However, in the last 3 years, in the Director of Communications budget, you haven't spent $1,000. So what plans do you have for training this year?
So we've identified, good evening, Councilwoman, thank you for that question. We have identified specific professional certification for the communication staff. And, actually, we were asking for a little bit more. We were asking for 45, but we were, advised by the finance department that they were going to allocate 3,000. So we're going to try to use that. The 45 that we were requesting would have provided this professional certification training for the entire staff in communications, which would include membership class testing, and a certificate would be given at the end of it. So we do have a specific training that's been identified that we think would be beneficial for the team.
Thank you. It says in your budget that there's a salary adjustment of $7,000 in the director's budget. Can you speak to what exactly that salary adjustment is?
That salary adjustment is for the position listed as secretary.
Okay. Also, are you looking to add 2 positions in this year's budget for the media department?
No, we're looking to add 1.
Okay, and that's the audio visual, the
specialist.
part-time audio visual position?
That is correct.
So IT has overspent its budget in overtime for the past 3 years. Do you have plans to keep the overtime costs down in that division?
Well, we try as much as possible to do that across all our divisions. However, especially with, during the past 2 years with increased virtual meetings, right? We've had, the IT staff has had to be on hand for all of those. That has sent the cost of overtime up exponentially. And additionally, as we add more events and more, community gatherings, it also, the team needs to be present. So as much as we try to keep it down, we also have to be mindful of the fact that, these are individuals who have lives and deserve to be compensated for the time that they invest in, our city and our city's activities.
Thank you. So while I do agree with that, I think that we also pose the same question to police and fire, and no shade to the work that your department does, because I think they do very great work. We're asking the people who work in public safety and protect the city to keep their budget, to keep their overtime costs down. I think I would really like to see that from the IT department as well. I understand that they have a lot of work to do. They are integral to the movement of the city, but I think if we're asking police and fire to keep their overtime costs down, I think it's not an unfair request to ask that of IT as well. But I do hear what you're saying about the work that they do. Also, if the IT division is requesting $500 in staff development, why is the administration recommending $3,500?
So the $3,500 is specifically for training for new fast track users. So it's a very specific amount that's going to be needed going into 2022. As a matter of fact, that's a conservative estimate because in the past couple of years, what we've anticipated, it has exceeded it. So I believe that that was the thinking of the finance department when they recommended that.
Okay. Outside consulting services for IT hasn't gone over $100,000 in the last 5 years. Why is there a request for $127,000 this year?
So I believe in 2021 it was 129,000. So we're actually looking at a reduction of 2,000. However, we're trying to prepare for the future upgrades as we build for smart city components, and there are going to be enhancements that we're adding to the system to facilitate that.
Thank you. So we've been talking about the live broadcast of council meetings for the last couple of years now. excuse me, and in your goals, it says it's 95% complete. Can you talk about what's the holdup for 100% completion?
Sure. There is a component of it that needs the Comcast technicians to come out and address. We have actually been trying to get them to come out since last year, September. And we only recently, maybe in the past 2 weeks, got a response. Now that we have made contact, we're trying to schedule them to do this work in the next month so that we can complete it. It wasn't something that we could do. We just didn't have the expertise on our side to do that, to complete it.
No, that's fine. That's valid. Are you also looking to add positions to IT? And if so, how will these enhance your department?
So I don't have any immediate plans. I mean, the IT staff, no doubt, as the city grows, is getting more and more, there are more and more demands on the team. I believe that's something that have to be taken on a case-by-case basis if and when the resources become available for us to think about making a decision like that.
Okay, I only asked because in the IT budget, it says senior administrative analyst and it says network administrator. And these have salary lines for this year, but they weren't in there last year.
That represents a promotion for members of the team.
Okay. Thank you so much. Those are all my questions.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Davis. Councilman Steve Hockaday. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Council President. Thank you for the opportunity to ask questions. Hi, Director Clayton Hunt. Thank you for a very good introduction and presentation of your budget. I'll have to agree with most of what you said. I've seen the communications department work tirelessly throughout the pandemic and making sure that that the works of the city is highlighted and that the things that the city is doing is brought to the attention of residents so that they can all have participation. So looking forward to continued excellence from the department. I have the privilege of sitting on your committee, and you know, it's been a pleasure to work with you. So the website has been a big accomplishment that we recently got over. Can you just talk a little bit about the differences now, the ease of use, and how the fact that we've taken more control over edits and so forth of the website, how that enhances our communication?
Certainly. Thank you, Councilman Hockaday, and thanks for that question. So aside of getting an aesthetic overhaul, the website, some of the things that we try to keep in mind as we were going through this process with the design, with the developers was, and we did do, focus group with the community, with some of the council members and with other stakeholders to find out what was most important, what they felt was most important. And one of the things that came through was, the ability to find information easily. And so we try to keep that in mind as we spoke to the developers. We try to ensure that most of the information could be found in 1 or 2 clicks from the front page, that stuff wasn't buried too deeply. People didn't have to go digging to find the information. But to your point, one of the most important differences is that the website we had prior, we would have to send all our changes to the developer and wait for their team to make those changes. So this sometimes resulted in information updates, important updates being delayed, and things like that. So now our team has the ability to immediately go in and make those changes ourselves. And I think that is one of the biggest differences between this website and the old one. We also have the ability to do it from anywhere. We don't have to be physically bound to City Hall or anywhere. As long as we have a device that we can get onto the net, we can make those changes in real time. So yeah, that is a significant difference to the old website. And as we go along, we are making upgrades and as we get, you know, feedback from, you know, residents and other stakeholders, we are making changes according to, you know, what they say they'd like to see or what they observed, or if, you know, obviously if there's anything that needs correcting, we're able to quickly address that.
Yes, so in terms, that's quite a lot of work on behalf of IT and communications to handle that, because the city represents every department in the city, even the council and so forth. So how has the experience been in terms of kind of having all the information funneled through your department? Do you have enough resources? Do you need to delegate some of that authority to make changes on the website to the specific department? How's the current framework working?
So quite frankly, you know, we do depend heavily on, you know, the other departments to feed us information, because we won't know on a day-to-day basis what's taking place in every single department. So when changes occur, we do try to remind them periodically to remember to let us know what's going on so we can update the website. Right now, you know, it's being managed and it's being handled. You know, I guess what you're asking is like, does it have the functionality where we could give some of that responsibility to the other departments? The short answer is yes, there is that functionality built in. The longer answer is, would we want to do that? Because then, you know, it would entail constant checking to see what's being done by the people who are updating it. And quite frankly, sometimes that might be a little more problematic than actually just making a change yourself. So right now it's handled by the communications team that we have.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, some of the things I'm hearing from the community, I mean, it's been positive regarding the website. I know that people are, especially in light of COVID, are interested in being able to process payments to the city and so forth, and handle as much as they can online, you know, using a credit card or an e-check as possible. You know, people really would prefer not to go into City Hall at all if they had to, whether it's, you know, for payment of permits, you know, vital statistics, so forth. What is a possible roadmap or a timeline for like just being 100% being able to handle all business through the website?
When you say all business, I mean, we do have quite a few departments that have the ability to take those payments online now. And a lot of those divisions were the ones that used to see, you know, high traffic for simple things like, you know, payments for pet licenses, marriage licenses, you know, vital statistics. I believe that the clerk's office also for permits and things like that. So those are some of the divisions that you see some of the highest traffic, and you know, we're processing those online now and taking those payments. You know, we are doing it in a very you know, module by module, division by division, department by department, instead of trying to do everything all at once, because we feel it's easier to manage the process that way. I honestly don't want to sit here and say it's going to be by, you know, done in another 2 months or 3 months, you know, because quite frankly, things happen and you just, you know, it derails you, and you have to, you know, detour a little bit to get back on track. So, I mean, what I will say is that it is a priority, and, you know, to get everything online as much as possible. And we are working closely with the other departments to make that happen.
Thank you, Director. Council President, no further questions.
Thank you, Councilman Hockaday.
Thank you, Councilman.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Councilman McKenna. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you, Barry?
Fine, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Council President. I just, you know, I had a few questions, and Councilwoman Davis was had a very extensive list, so I was able to cross them off as she was asking some. But you know, I kind of like to focus a little more on the website, because you know, I look at the website and it certainly did change, but in essence, you changed the skin and put it on a new platform. But the data, the information is, the navigation is still the same. It's bad. If I want to go and get my schedule for curbside pickup, I can get it for 2018. I can get it for 2019. I can get it for 2021. I can't get it for 2020, but I can't get it for 2022. And we're at the end of April, and I can't get my curbside pickup schedule. I don't know why I need to go back and get it for 2018, but apparently I can. If I'm going to go to the planning board and figure out and look at some meeting agendas and minutes, for 2021, there's only 6. Now, I was on the planning board and we had anywhere from 20 to 21 meetings a year, and there are 6 up there. For 2022, there are none. For zoning board, there are 6 agendas up there, no minutes. For HPC, it says meetings and minutes test. There's nothing. So, you know, not only is the navigation bad, but there's just no content in there that's usable to anybody. And it's kind of, you know, those are big things. People want to be able to go and search and look for minutes from meetings and topics, especially with the development that's going on. And we're not providing that. And we're acting like we are. I mean, the navigation is just bad. So how do we fix the navigation? And how do we get the content up where it's real time, or at least, you know, within a week of this information coming out, if that.
So, good evening, Councilman McKenna. And I hear your concern. And as I stated before, we can only put the information that we're given, right? The planning board meets, the zoning board meets, these other boards and commissions meet. If they don't send the information to us, we can't put it up there. We don't have the minutes. We don't have the agendas. It has to be provided to us so that we can post it. And I don't want to sit here and say that and throw other people under the bus. That's not what I'm trying to do. However, we cannot physically walk around to every department, every division, and every meeting and say, where's this information? Where's this information? Where's this information? We are the ones who facilitate putting it on the website. But if we don't get it, we can't put it there. And that's just the bottom line.
So in essence, what you're saying is the navigation and the content is the failure of.
No, I was addressing your comment about the fact that you were looking for agendas and schedules and you couldn't find them. That's what I was addressing.
Yeah,
now, as far as the navigation is concerned, Councilman, you've expressed that you think the navigation is it doesn't work well, but I think that's a difference of opinion, because there are many others who have expressed that they think that it is a vast improvement. They're able to find the information much faster. And honestly, Councilman, and I've said this to you before, if there is something specific that you think that, you know, a suggestion that you have that you think specifically that you could offer and say, why don't you do it this way? I would love to hear, we would love to hear what that is. But quite frankly, you've never done that.
Actually, I did. And I went back through my notes. And last year, I mentioned how you have city government, which has all kinds of departments in some random order. City council's like way over in some random area. And then you have city council agendas, which is a completely different navigation element instead of being under city council when you go to that page. I mentioned that last year. And I also mentioned that next to city government, you have city departments. Well, city departments is under city government.
I know that you've.
I'm sorry. Actually, I haven't finished yet, Director. What I'm saying is, I think that what you might want to do, because we spent, I believe it was $35,000 with consultant to help us with the website, and the navigation didn't change at all. It's just terrible. And I come from a marketing background. I'm actually still not done. And what normally would occur is you go through and you go to other city websites, you go to your competition if you're in business, and you look at their websites and you see how they function. We don't do that, because you can go to any number of city websites and they're completely different navigation that's usable. This is not usable navigation. The information is outdated and hard to find. The search feature is almost impossible. You have to scroll forever to find what you're looking for. And this has been going on. I went back for 3 years worth of budget hearing notes, and it's been the same thing every time. You're working on it. If the departments are not giving you the information to upload, then there's a problem there as well. And it needs to be addressed. How Department of Economic Development should get on it and get you the information in a timely manner. And I think for the amount of money that we pay and the amount of staff that we have in IT, or in communications, this should have been resolved a long time ago.
Councilman, you know, you said this last year, and I believe you. If you said it in a forum like this, okay. So, if you
Would
are
you
really,
like me to actually do
if
screenshots and send you changes? Because I'll
I
do
know
it.
that you are, I know that you're extremely busy, but if you actually are well intentioned about wanting to see these changes, you know, we could schedule a time where I could sit down and actually make a note of everything that you said and look into it. However, again, I think I think that, you know, you take these opportunities to come and lecture and berate, and I don't think that you are well
No,
intentioned
I'm not
about
trying to
it.
berate. I'm trying to ask.
So,
Every year I
I'm
ask you
sorry,
the
I was
same.
still speaking,
Every
Councilman.
year, well,
I
I
was
only
still
have 10 minutes, so
speaking.
I actually control the time. Every year I ask for the same information and when you're going to have things updated. And every year there's the same excuse. So if you want me to
Is
go
that
through
correct?
and make edits to the navigation,
I am not asking you to make any edits,
if we
Councilman,
paid
but
$30,000 or $40,000 to consultants to do that and they didn't do it, then we're wasting taxpayers' money, which is my point. So I will send you edits for navigation and go through the various pages so that you have that information. But I think after 3 years of waiting for this and getting the same answers again, it's you know, something's not right here. And throwing your colleagues under the bus for not getting your department the information is also not very nice either.
thank you for your observations. Do you have any other questions?
I have no other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McKenna. Thank you, Director Clayton Hunt. And now we have Councilwoman Joylette Mills Ransom, who has the floor. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. Director Clayton Hunt, I'm dealing with your goal for 2022, and I'm probably going to tie it into something from 2021. So I'll start with the 2021, provide ongoing support for city programs and events, curate and produce coverage for all events for viewing on PCTV, YouTube, Facebook, website, etc. I think the YouTube, Facebook, website, etc. has been doing quite well, but PCTV has been lagging behind. So I do see you have a 2022 goal of arranging PCTV operations training for media team, day-to-day troubleshooting, programming, scheduling. Could you just take a few minutes to talk about the challenges that your department has had with PCTV and if this will perhaps bring it into the future?
Certainly, thank you, Councilwoman. So one of the challenges that we had last year was tied to the same issue that we had with the Comcast, not being able to get a Comcast technician to come out because there was a block of, I don't know the technical term, there was a block that needed to be replaced by the Comcast team, and we couldn't get anyone out to do it. That was a challenge in terms of the type of quality picture that we were getting from the station. I did recognize that, you know, we recognized that there was we've had some turnover of staff. Not everyone who has joined the staff recently is trained on handling, on updating the information that's on the station. So that's part of the training that I want to have happen this year. So there's cross functionality that everyone who is actually there knows how to run every aspect of the station rather than just having it being the sole responsibility of one person. So that's part of what we're trying to have happen this year. And we're trying to do an update to so Scala is actually what drives the things like the flyers that you see on PCTV. It hasn't been updated in probably several decades, 2 decades or so. So part of what I asked for in the budget is for funds to do that upgrade for Scala so that we can see an improvement in the type of images that we're seeing based, you know, for the flyers and things like that.
Thank you so much for the answer, and I look forward to moving forward with that.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mills Ransom. Chair Lady Bright, CBAC. Good evening to you. before you get a chance, before you start with your questions, I just want to say that I want to take the time to thank the CBAC committee for their service, all their participation. It's greatly appreciated throughout this process. We never want them to feel that we don't appreciate them. So let me say that now before you start your questions. And now you have the floor. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Council President. But before I begin, did Councilman Charles McCray, did you call on him, or did I miss that?
Don't worry, go ahead.
Wait a minute, back up. What did you just say, Chair Lady Bright?
Did you call Councilman Charles McCray?
Go ahead. Go ahead, continue.
You did.
Okay.
Yep. You did skip Mr. McCray.
Oh,
You
I'm
did.
sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. The chair of our committee, Councilman McCray,
No,
please,
she can-
by all
she
means.
She can continue. I'll get mine later.
No, 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 I insist, sir. Go right ahead. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Everybody sees him, right? I see him too. So I just want to, I don't know how that was an oversight from me, Councilman McCray. Go right ahead, please, sir. Go right ahead. Your questions.
No. Thank you, Councilman President. Director Hunt, thank you for your presentation. And I too am on your IT committee. And I just want to thank you guys for the work that you do, because during this pandemic, to go out and deploy as many desktops and virtual systems that you do, that is a Herculean effort that it took to get that done, to make sure the city kept running as smoothly as possible. And also there to deploy the new website and to get all the other things that we're doing with infrastructure. Your overtime is, although we try to control it, there's some things that just can't be controlled, and that maybe we might want to think of more creative ways in how to schedule our staff. But I know that becomes part of the employment contracts and labor union things that we have to deal with. So I, thank you guys for all that you're doing. And with the website, that it was a good rollout, and that, the navigation of it, some people will like navigation, some people won't, but that's a personal thing. But it is a great, great improvement over what we had. And as time goes on, things will evolve and you will change. So I just want to thank you and your department for the great efforts that you're doing on behalf of the citizens, with making online payments and everything very accessible, so that people can do business with the city and also get forms on the city website. So thank you for all you're doing for us.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman McCray, thank you so much. Director Clayton Hunt, I just wanted to add to that, if I may make a suggestion, that the data that you are missing for the website, if maybe someone could just reach out and just remind people or departments how important it is, so that data can be uploaded on the website. It may be an oversight on their end, and if they've been going this long without doing it, they probably don't feel like it's necessary to do it at this point. Also, let me just also say, the website, we're not where we were. We have moved forward. So the days coming can only get better. So we thank you and your entire staff.
Thank you,
Chair Lady Bright. Or we can come back to you. We can come back to you tomorrow if you want.
That'll be fine.
Listen, thank you so much for being so patient. And as I stated, your service, as well as the rest of the committee, is greatly appreciated. Now, with that being said, please, by all means, give your questions.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, Director Clayton Hunt. I actually emailed you some questions, but I could read some of them.
I have them.
Yeah, most of them were already answered. So the ones that were answered, there's no need to address those again. But, one of the ones that was the media and communications, and it pertained to your goals. One of your goals is to market Plainfield with signage along the Northern Raritan Valley Rail Line and in select New York markets. Is this advertising to entice new residents to Plainfield? And if so, are we receiving any funds from the developers for promoting their projects?
Right. Thank you, Chairman Bright. So we're not going to receive any funds from developers for this initiative because we're not promoting developers. We're promoting Plainfield. And the goal is to attract new investments. And, as in addition to, residents, yes. But we were able to attract new developers because of our marketing efforts in previous years. And this is, a continuation of that effort. So yeah, it's not something that we expect developers to pay for because we're not promoting them. We're promoting, Plainfield and the Plainfield brand.
Okay, thank you. The only other question that wasn't asked was the last one in the IT department for telecommunications. You're requesting approximately 34% more than was actually used in 2021. And we were just wondering what these funds would be used for.
Sure, that increase represents the system support and maintenance for the police 911 system. Previously, that was paid through the police budget, but it's being supported through the IT budget this year. So that's what that difference is.
Okay, and that was it. And I do like to look at a new website. It's easy to navigate. I've been on there many times and found exactly what I was looking for. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome.
Chairwoman Bright, thank you so much. We appreciate you and your service as chairwoman of this committee. At this point, we're going to move on to the fire department. We have our director, Kenneth Childress, in attendance. Would
Council
you?
President, may
Yes.
I be excused?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yes, you may. Thank you for joining us this evening. We appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions and comments.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Good evening.
Good evening, Director Childress. Please begin with your budget overview, please.
Sure.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Mapp, distinguished council members, and valued CBAC members, and the general public. I'm Director Childress of the Fire Department, and tonight I will present the Fire Department's 2022 budget. But first, I'm going to give you a short overview of the Fire Department. The Fire Department is comprised of 3 different departments: fire suppression, fire prevention, and offices of emergency management. Fire suppression is exactly what it says, fire suppression. Those are the men and women that you see out and about responding to emergencies on fire trucks all day long, back and forth. That's fire suppression. They respond to whether it be home alarms or business alarms, fires, car fires, assisting rescue squad. That's their job for the day. Fire prevention, once again, exactly what it says, fire prevention. I have 2 part-time inspectors and 2 full-time inspectors. Those inspectors go out and they inspect various locations, from schools to daycare centers to apartment complexes and alike, and local businesses, to make sure they're up to code. And that helps us prevent fires. There's 2 different type of inspections that they do. Most people probably don't know, but I'm going to give you some stats. There's life hazard uses, and there's a non-life hazard use inspection. And basically what it means is that the square footage and the use of the business determines which one it is. So life hazard use would be a place that uses highly corrosive chemicals or anything of that nature. Something of low interest would be a storage facility, something of that nature. So that would be non-life hazard use. In 2021, fire prevention completed and inspected 399 life hazard uses. They inspected 431 life hazard uses for a total of 830 total for 20 and for 2022. So far, they have done 150 life hazard uses and 163 non-life hazard uses. And that comes to a total of 313. So there's a study out there making sure the work gets done. The Office of Emergency Management. Office of Emergency Management is comprised of myself and 5 deputies spread throughout the police department, board of education, and also fire. And the purpose of Office of Emergency Management is to manage and coordinate the city's response to natural and man-made disasters. And that's simply what we do. To continue back to the table organization. Throughout the whole fire department, we have a standing TO of 110. We are at 106. We're 4 short, and we're in the process as we speak of selecting the 4 to move on in the process. So that we're working on. Here are some stats also for the suppression side to show you what they have been doing. In 2021, fire suppression responded to 3,618 alarms. 17 of those were structure fires. Now, there were a total of 130 fires, but the state classifies not everything as a structure fire. So it could have been a car fire, it could have been a garbage fire, means that it didn't occur inside. So that's why it's just counted as being just a fire. But we had 17 actual structure fires in 2021 and a total of 130 fires. In 2022, so far, we have 1,097 alarms. We have had 9 structure fires and total fires, 32. So that's what they have been doing. The Office of Emergency Management also consists of 10 CERT team members, which are comprised of volunteers from the community, which have participated in vaccine rollouts, food distributions, and other programs within the city. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we were developing a team, CERT team, but unfortunately, volunteers during this unknown climate are very hard to find. But we're going to continue on with that program. Now to the big topic, overtime. Last year, we were allotted $695,000. We expended $747,056.25. We were able to cover that overage through salary and wages through employees that we had were not employees, but through openings that we hadn't filled. So we're able to cover that. Those were caused by COVID infections, COVID mandates, and obviously unexpected injuries. We're in a business where accidents and injuries happen every day, and a lot of them are preventable, but a lot of them are not. So we had a lot of injuries this year, and we had to account for. But even with COVID and other unexpected issues, we were still able to stay within our budget. We are learning to do more with less. Other things you might take note of is our goals and objectives. For 21 and 22, they're the same. Some of them are continuing on from 21 to 22 because, for instance, we received a technical trailer. We got the trailer, but now the trailer has to be outfitted with tools, using the grant funds. They allowed you a certain amount of money to take care of the equipping of it. All the firefighters have to be trained that are going to be on that team. And we also have policies and procedures in order, before we even start, that everybody's trained on and understand how to operate the equipment, when we use it and when we don't. And to explain what that tactical trailer does, right now, Plainfield will be the only, we have the most equipment in that tactical trailer for the Union County. And that trailer will be used for trench rescues. It'll be used for building collapses, like you saw the building in Florida months ago collapse. We will be able to do a lot of that stuff with this equipment that we received through this tactical trailer, which was a grant. And a lot of those other things, the drone program, we have the drones, we have the insurance, the school that we were sending people to closed. So now once the budget passes, we'll be able to send people out and get the training they need to fly the drones. Then we still have to have policies and procedures, when we're going to use them, when we're not going to use them, and coordinate with FAA laws and requirements, such as using them at night, using them over top of people, over buildings, and there's a lot of different regulations. So everybody would have to be trained on that. In closing, if there's anything I didn't, I'm sure I answered a lot of questions already. If I didn't, I'm here to answer more. In closing, I would like to thank all of the firefighters, men and women, because all the successes that are happening here are happening because of them. I put forth a vision, and a lot of them have bought into the vision, and they're making sure that it happens, and they understand what I'm trying to achieve. I have administrative staff who, when I call them on the weekends, they answer the phone. They do work after hours. They do work on vacation just to make sure this place keeps running. And I just want to give a special thanks to them for all the work that they do. And now we'll take your questions.
Director Childress, thank you so much for that budget overview. And I also have to make a note to get myself a set of headphones so that I can sound like I'm flying over Plainfield, giving the traffic updates across the the city. That's one cool headset. It sounds really good. We're going to start at the top of the list with Councilwoman Terry Briggs Jones. Good evening again. Go ahead with your questions.
Okay. Good evening, Fire Director Childress. And I just want to say thank you for the services with the men and the women and what they do, and giving their time and sacrificing of their lives also, because we cannot take that for granted. And for most of you that don't know, I had a fire myself during COVID.
Right.
March 2020, I had a fire. And let me tell you, when I say minutes, I mean minutes. So thank God that, one of the firemen heard my address when I called 911. I'm telling you, they must have been here. I don't even know if it was 3 minutes. I didn't even have time to call my family members, but within 10 minutes, all my family members was here. So I just want to say thank you for that, because the fire could have been worse than what it was. So I would thank God that I was working from home at the time. So again, thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And you kind of answered a lot of the questions that I had. I mean, well, you actually stated a lot of questions that I had. And one of them was, are there any anticipated promotions in the future? And then if so, how many? And I believe you answered that in when you made a statement also as well.
Yeah, well, there are promotions. Promotions come as other people move up or people retire. So we do have some retirements coming up. So there will be some promotions to fill those positions.
Okay, all right. And also, we know that our first responders are in the forefront, but however, since COVID, was there until the present, do you feel your budget was well balanced? I believe it was.
Yes.
And if it was, could you please explain that to our constituents in just 1 or 2 sentences?
Yes, we took a hard look at the budget. We knew that during these hard times, everyone needed some relief. And we looked at where we could make changes and cuts and do, like I said, more with less. And that's exactly what we did.
Okay, all right. And I believe you did answer the third question also, but I still will just say, did you need more money and add a amount of money to your budget for training? So how much?
What we have now is adequate, but we will always need more money for training. As the world grows and evolves, and new mandates come out by the state on certain training that we have to do, they may just pop up and say, hey, we have to do this, and we have to figure out how to make it happen. So yes, there's more pandemic training out there. There's more, there's a host of training out there that's just, going to be needed. And, yeah, we would probably need more money in training, but right now we're stable.
Okay, good. Thank you. That'll be it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Ashley Davis, did you submit any questions in advance?
I submitted no questions in advance, but I still
Okay.
have questions.
Yeah, no. I'm just asking that. Director Childers, do you have any questions from the governing body that were put in advance to you?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councilwoman, go right ahead.
Yes. Director Childress, what are your plans for professional contracting services? It's your budget line that ends in 219.
Okay. Professional contracting services for services that happen other than the norm. For instance, we have a maintenance line. So maintenance is for general maintenance. Now at engine 3, just so happened, the pipes are encased in cement in the wall and those pipes busted. Those can't come out of general maintenance because it would exhaust the whole thing. So that's what we use professional services for, other things that come up outside of the norm.
Thank you. For the OEM budget, you listed $2,000 in program and community initiatives. However, you haven't even spent $1,000 in the last 5 years. So what are your plans on that money?
Okay. Last year, of course, there was no going out to any conventions or any classes. A lot of things are online. A lot of things are free. A lot of things have opened up now, and we now have more ability to go out and go to locations and classes. The very first year I was here, I was just getting my feet wet and really didn't have time to go out and do those things. I had to make sure everything was set here. But now that we have things, everything's falling into place, we can now get more training. I've been sending the 5 deputies that I have. They've all been going, taking training outside classes. Some of them are free, some of them are expenses, but that's what the money will be used for.
Thank you. You talked about the amount of fires we had last year and the amount of fires we have this year. What's the average number of fires every year? And are we seeing that number trend up or trend downward?
I can't say that we have an average number because sometimes we just get hit really hard. Depending on what type of, a lot of times it depends on what type of winter we have, right? If you have a very cold winter that lasts long, we see the numbers go up because people tend to find different creative ways to stay warm. And that brings about, different type of situations. So I think the better the winters are, the less, fires we may see, but there's no real, average from year to year. It can be all over the place.
Okay. And you said that 110 is the number of firefighters that you need, but currently we're at 106. How does this number change as development and the population of the city increase?
Well, we plan on growing with the city. So as the city grows, we will be needing, more people. As the more buildings go up, as the population grows, we'll need more apparatus. We'll need more inspectors. So, we're expecting to grow right along with the city.
Do we have the capacity to grow with the city? And I mean, in terms of like actual structures. So do our firehouses that we have now have the capacity to grow as the department may grow and as the city grows?
It has limited capacity to grow. Engine 4 which is on South Avenue, was a very limited capacity. We received a grant to do a study on that location to find out what could be done. They went back to the table to finish some more work on it, but there's limited things that can be done to that building because it's a historic building. So eventually, we will have to find something, some other options on South Avenue.
Thank you. And then my final question is for Director West. So in hearing from the department directors and where they're putting stuff in budget lines, it sounds like they're putting things in budget lines that may not necessarily go in that particular budget line. So are you helping department heads just make sure that all of their expenses are going into the correct budget line?
Yes, we are working very hard at trying to make sure that things are trued up so that when they start doing annual budgets, they know what and why they need to make the request that they do. So we do try to true things up. And what tends to happen over the course of the year is that when they find out that they've underfunded a particular budget line, the easiest thing to do is then move some money around within their own budget groups. But the plan is for them to have a far better understanding of their needs and requirements and budget specifically to the right accounts.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions, Council President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Steve Hockaday.
Director.
Good evening.
Thanks for the presentation. And also thanks for leading such a stellar department. It's really joyous to hear about, some of the technological improvements, the fact that we're leading the county in terms of some of the equipment, being able to, kind of buoy the county and keep the county safe, as well as keeping Plainfield safe. I know when I think of Plainfield itself, I think of it as a town that means so much to the county, and it's really a good thing when we have our fire department also, leading in that way under your leadership. I mean, that's just fantastic. You answered many of my questions. You said the big thing. You're talking about overtime, trying to figure out how to just keep our costs in line. 2020 and 2021 was a difficult one. To kind of keep things in line. I know we'll I'm sure you'll continue to work on that. But I don't have any questions. I just have nothing but gratitude, for your department and them being first responders and just toiling through the entire pandemic, being available and for our residents, even when many of us were sheltering in place. Your offers just kept on moving on and protecting us. So just thank you, and please extend well wishes to the entire department.
Thank you.
Councilman McKenna.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Real quick, just a clarifying point, and I don't know if this could be for Director West. So if I look at the salary totals on the chart of each position, it totals the 9.765 million.
Right.
And if I look at the summary chart up front, which includes each one of the divisions, it's got the 9.65. But if I look at the salary line in fire division, it's 9,565,885. It's literally 200,000 difference to the penny. Is that a typo in the administration's budget line? It's under fire division director, not the fire director.
I will have to look at that, but when you start looking at the salary line, there are other things within the fire department that become part of salary.
I tried to, pull in some of the
some of those would probably be vacancies.
Holiday pay, but it's literally 200,000 less. It's, like to the penny. No dollar different. No, nothing different.
Yeah, some of those are probably vacancies.
So you're getting 200,000 less than you're asking for, is what I'm saying. So do those vacancies, they're going to be vacant?
Then it must be a typo. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, if you could, that would be appreciated. It just kind of jumped out at me. My question for Director Childress, what are your top three things that you see regarding the growth and what you're going to need over the next 5 years? And by that, I mean, how you're going to deal with Engine 4. And I'm not asking for a firm answer on how you're going to do it, but a rough idea of what's probably going to have to happen, because you've got a lot more development already on South Avenue, plus you got the North Avenue development, plus you've got what are just about complete near the dollar store, and you've got the old Fig Market area. So what are the top three, maybe even four things for long term?
For as far as South Avenue is concerned, we have a new truck that's going to be coming within another year or so after it gets built. In capital budget for 2023, we have another vehicle coming, which we're going to switch the type of vehicle, and we're going to make it what they call a quint, which just has a ladder and a pump on it, which can be stationed at headquarters. It won't fit South Avenue because the building's too small, but that would be used to cover all the new buildings that we have going up.
And just to clarify, remind me, that's like a mini ladder that can do a few things before a big ladder arrives, right?
Right.
Okay.
It can get in smaller places and do things very, faster.
Okay.
But it won't fit at South Avenue. So until we figure that out, we can station it at headquarters or at Engine 3 on South Avenue. On 3rd Street.
Right.
So that's the short answer to that one. And what was your other question? My top three.
Yeah, top three.
Other top three is keeping the overtime where it is, and still trying to juggle the manpower and keep the men safe at the same time. It's like a balancing act. We try to keep a certain amount of manpower on duty to so that the city stays safe and that the employees stay safe, but it's a balancing act, and sometimes depending on the budget it goes up and down. So but that's something that we do it every single day. My third would be training. I want to get everybody in this place trained to be an expert. I want them to be experts. So if they fall short, they're still one of the best. So I want to get as many as people as I can outside training in various aspects of not normal fighting, but stuff that goes well beyond like the training of the tactical trailer that we have.
Okay. Now, just remind me, the truck you have that's already ordered, that's on it, that will be here soon, is a full ladder, correct?
Yes.
And then the smaller one is something you're hoping to order in 2023?
2023, yes. That's a quint.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Mills Ransom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Childress, thank you so much for your report. And I would like to thank all of the members of the fire department. You know that the fire department is close to my heart. My brother spent over 35 years with the department. So wish you all the best, and the report, I have no questions.
Thank you.
Councilman Charles McCray.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, Director Childress, for your great report. Just one quick question. I know one time ago we were speaking about a cadet program. Have you considered going back in that direction now that COVID is coming to sort of an end?
Absolutely. We tested the waters with our last Fire Prevention Fair. If you were there this past November, we had it at Library Park. We had it, safe and secure. It was well attended, probably one of the best that we had. And we wanted to see how that went and see what kind of turnout we had of young people. So what we're going to do now is reach out into the schools and try to develop that program. Actually, the 27th, Wednesday morning, 8:30 at Plainfield High School, we have Sean Simmons and Mr. Alonzo. His name is Alonzo, and they were the students who at Seton Hall, that a fire occurred 20 years ago when they were burned very badly. They will be speaking at Plainfield High School to the seniors about going to college, about fire protection, and basically about what happened to them at Seton Hall 20 years ago. And that's this Wednesday at 8 a.m. So that'll be at Plainfield High School. So you're going to start reaching back out into the schools, getting our presence known, and then develop the program from there.
Okay, well, give the department, all the men and women of the fire department, my deep appreciation for the work that they do, and that we do appreciate them as citizens here in the city of Plainfield.
Thank you.
That's all, President.
Thank you, Councilman McCray. One thing about being last is that no matter what you've written down, my colleagues will always be very thorough in asking their questions. And the only thing I have to say, Director Childress, is that we are so appreciative of all the work that you and your fire division has done. Even over the course of the pandemic, you didn't waver. Stellar work. I always say, and I'm not saying this just this evening, but I've always said it, we have some of the best firefighters right here in the city of Plainfield. And every chance I get when I see them, I always let them know how much we appreciate them. So
Absolutely.
That being said, we'll move on to Chairwoman Bright.
I have some of your questions.
President.
I have some of your questions. Actually, do you want me to read them or you want to read them?
No, go ahead. You can read them. Thank
Okay.
you, Director.
One of your first questions were the 21 accomplishments against goals appear to be a copy of for 2022. I pretty much explained that there's some of them are still ongoing. In that question you asked, particularly about the drone program. Like I said, we have the drones, we have the insurance, we have 2 people that's trained, and we have to send more people for training and apply for all the permits that we need from the FAA and develop policies and procedures. So the hard part is done, is purchasing them. So we'll be moving on with that program very soon. Number 2 are the funds that were allocated for the drone program in 21 still available. They were already paid for, so that's already done. Everything else would just require, a application fee for the FAA and, training and sending people out for training. That's not very expensive. We'll take that from the training budget, and everything else is policy and procedures. You also asked, do we have any agreements with other municipalities for shared services? If other towns assist with fire suppression, does Plainfield currently charges? Yes, all the other municipalities around, we have what they call mutual aid agreements with them. Nobody gets charged.
Okay.
We help them, they help us. They're not supposed to supplement our manpower or lack thereof, and neither are we supposed to supplement theirs. But we are supposed to assist, and so that's what they come in and do. If we need another ladder truck, they bring a ladder. If we need another engine, they bring another engine, or manpower for that particular incident. But no fees are incurred. Lastly, can you ask? Can I give a short overview of emergency management and the funds requested for the use? Okay. OEM or emergency management is responsible for preparedness, coordination of response and recovery activities and mitigation planning. And it's the city's liaison between us, the state, and the federal government. Those funds will be needed for training, supplies, we purchased various lights for different instances where we may have to be out there for a few days, and the fire department, it has to be separate from OEM. So we need our own separate lights and other equipment that has to be just for OEM. It includes hurricanes, pandemics. During the pandemic, we had to find supplies for the whole city. We don't just do the fire department. Emergency management comprises of the whole city. So whatever department needs this, that, we try to coordinate it. There's a backhoe that needs to be found. We find it and, make sure that the building gets tore down. And that's pretty much what OEM does. So that's what the money is going to be needed for. Years in the past, OEM might have been funded with $1,000 because there was not much going on, but times have changed. The pandemics, more storms are coming, bigger storms are coming, and we just need more funding. And that was it. But I would like to answer one of your questions from last year. You asked, could we use any kind of fire corps or volunteers to help out with, the curb overtime? And the answer to that is no. This is a civil service jurisdiction, and we can only use sworn firefighters to participate in any of the activities that we do. So we can't use any outside people to help curb overtime.
Okay. Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chairwoman Bright. Our fire department and our Department of Communications and Technology have given us tonight their budget overview, and we thank you both for those overviews. At this time,
Council President, before you move on, can I respond to a question that Councilman McKenna asked? He asked about a $200,000 difference.
Go right ahead, Director West.
And I would just, I can tell you very quickly that there are $200,000 in other categories in the budget books, and they cover things like acting pay, uniform allowance, prescription contractual payments, and comp time payments, and they add up to $200,000.
That's the 200,000 flat? Even?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't add the prescription one in, so that.
All right, it's okay.
Perfect, thank you. I appreciate you pointing that out for me. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Director West. We now go down to citizen participation. Total of a total of 30 minutes have been allocated for public comments. If you wish to be heard, please hit the hand icon to be recognized and you will be unmuted. Once you've been unmuted, please give your name and address for the record. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. The floor is now open. Jen Popper, your name and address for the record, please.
You said my name, Jen Popper. Thank you, Council President. Jen Popper.
Good evening.
Thanks, evening. I have some very basic questions. I had actually wanted to ask Director Clayton Hunt. Oh, she's back. Just 2 questions, and then for Director Childress, just basic. I don't think that the actual overall requested budget was mentioned. And then for fire, I think you said you had 106 employees, but I don't believe that Director Clayton Hunt mentioned the number of employees for IT and communications. So that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Popper. Thank you so much. Did you need to address that, Director Clayton Hunt?
She's on mute, but I would just suggest we get through public comment and then ask all the questions at the end.
I don't see any more hands raised.
Then I'll make a motion to close public comment.
I'll second that, Councilman Hockaday. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
Oh,
abstaining?
we got. Never mind.
Motion carries. Director Clayton Hunt, would you like to address that?
Yeah, sure. So the question is, what's the overall amount of the budget for media and communications? Is that a question?
Yes. I think. Yeah. I don't know
That
if it was
was-
IT and communications or just.
That's what she asked, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, the overall, the grand total for, this is, never mind. Sorry, I just need to reopen my document. If you want to move on to the next one and come back to me in the interest of time, I just need to reopen my document. If you don't
Public
mind.
comment has been closed. There were no more questions.
I can read that off my book here, the total.
Oh.
$1,218,202 for communications and technology.
Thank you. Yes, I believe that's correct.
I think she asked a question about the number of employees.
Number of employees.
Total number of employees.
All right. So in communications and technology, we have let's turn off my head. We have 10 total employees in communications and technology.
Okay. Seems like that does it for this evening. With that being said, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Yep, second.
Good evening, everyone. Take care
Good evening.
and be safe.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.